I'm done with Toyota. That's right. I finally reached the breaking point, and I'm no longer buying a Toyota Corolla. For years, people have praised the Corolla as the ultimate reliable, budget-friendly car. But after doing deeper research and experiencing ownership cost myself, I realized the truth. It's overrated. The Corolla has been sold as a safe, dependable, long-lasting vehicle, and yes, it runs decently. But when you take a hard look at what you're actually paying for, it just doesn't add up. The purchase price is high compared to alternatives. The spare parts are expensive, and the servicing costs sneak up on you faster than you think. Toyota markets the Corolla as the best value for money, but that illusion falls apart once you calculate the long-term expenses. That's why I started comparing it directly to the Honda Civic. And what I discovered shocked me. The Civic isn't just a little better. It's miles ahead in terms of comfort, technology, and driving experience. The handling is sharper, the ride feels smoother, and the cabin design actually makes you feel like you're in a modern car, not stuck in a decade-old template. Meanwhile, Toyota has barely updated the Corolla's design philosophy, still rely on the brand name rather than real innovation. But here's the kicker. When you break down the total cost of ownership, the Civic absolutely destroys the Corolla. Insurance, parts availability, fuel efficiency, and even aftermarket upgrades. Everything comes in cheaper and more accessible with the Civic. In fact, when I added up my expenses, I realized the Civic was literally 5 times cheaper to own over a span of a few years, compared to what the Corolla was draining from me. So, while Toyota fans will argue reliability, I'm telling you right now, the smarter, more cost-effective, and more enjoyable choice is the Honda Civic. Now, don't get me wrong. The Corolla has history. It's been around for decades and built a reputation that's almost untouchable in the car world. People love to call it the safe bet, the reliable option, and sure, I'll admit, it can take you from point A to point B without falling apart. It's reliable, it's safe, and it sips fuel just enough to keep you convinced it's the economical choice. But here's where the glossy image starts to crack. The Corolla is actually overpriced for what you're really getting today. The base models? Let's be honest, they feel sluggish, underpowered, and outdated. You step on the gas and it hesitates, making every drive feel more like a chore than an experience. The interior, while clean, feels cramped and uninspired, especially if you've sat in other cars in the same class. The rear seat space is tight. The trunk is decent but nothing special, and the features you get in the lower trims are bare bones. For a car that's supposed to be for the everyday driver, it doesn't give you much unless you spend more money climbing up the trim levels. And here's the big red flag. Once you start considering the hybrid trims, the price jumps dramatically. Suddenly, you're staring at a $$25,000 plus price tag, sometimes even more depending on where you buy. And remember, that's before dealership fees, before insurance, before financing interest. The Corolla has slowly transformed from the cheap little commuter car your parents once swore by into something that's far less affordable for the average buyer. Toyota is selling nostalgia and reputation, not true value anymore. So yes, the Corolla might still carry that badge of reliability, but when you look at the numbers, it's simply not the bargain it once was. You're paying premium money for a car that gives you bare minimum performance, tight space, and a design philosophy that hasn't really kept up with the competition. Meanwhile, the Honda Civic has been quietly dominating, almost like it doesn't need a shout to prove its worth. While Toyota has been busy cashing in on its past reputation, Honda has been steadily refining the Civic into something that's not just a car, but an experience. The moment you get behind the wheel, you feel the difference. It's faster, more responsive, and gives you that extra push of confidence every time you hit the accelerator. Where the Corolla feels sluggish, the Civic feels alive. And let's talk space, because this matters. The Civic isn't just bigger, it's smarter in how it uses that space. The rear seats actually fit adults comfortably. The trunk has real depth, and the cabin design makes you feel like you're sitting in something closer to an entry-level luxury car than a so-called economy sedan. Soft touch materials, sleek dashboard layouts, and infotainment systems that don't look like they were pulled out of a calculator. It all adds up to a car that feels premium without demanding premium money. But here's the kicker. The part Toyota fans don't want to admit. The Civic costs way less to own long-term. Maintenance? Cheaper. hands down. Parts are widely available, mechanics everywhere know how to service them, and you won't find yourself stuck paying inflated prices just to keep it running. Fuel economy? Practically neck and neck with the Corolla Hybrid if you drive smart, and you don't have to fork over an extra $5 to $6,000 just for the hybrid badge. And resale value? This is where Civic owners quietly laugh their way to the bank, because the Civic holds its value impressively well. Corolla owners like to brag about resale, but time and again, Civics sell higher on the used market, especially when they're well kept. So when you put it all together, speed, size, comfort, cost, and resale, it becomes clear. The Civic isn't just competing with the Corolla anymore. It's outclassing it, offering more car, more value, and more joy for less money. When I sat down and compared the real-world costs, the picture couldn't have been clearer. The Corolla was quietly eating up my wallet. At first, it doesn't seem that bad. You pay the sticker price, you drive around, and you think you're saving money because, hey, it's a Toyota. But when you start tracking the actual expenses over months and years, you realize how much is slipping away. The higher trim prices alone push you into a bracket where you're paying luxury-like money for a car that doesn't deliver luxury features. Add in the extra maintenance, oil changes, brake pads, suspension parts, and you find out real quick that Toyota ownership isn't the cheap and cheerful deal it used to be. And when it finally comes time to sell, the resale value just doesn't hold up the way Toyota owners brag about. I lost thousands I wasn't expecting. Now, compare that to the Honda Civic. From the very first year, it started saving me money. Insurance premiums were lower, spare parts were more affordable, and the regular servicing didn't leave me staring at a bill that made me question my life choices. Even fuel efficiency, which Toyota claims as its crown jewel, came shockingly close between the Civic and the Corolla Hybrid, without me having to spend thousands extra on a hybrid badge. Over 5 years, those savings stacked up in a way that shocked me. It wasn't a few hundred here and there. It was thousands, real money that stayed in my pocket instead of going back into car. That's why I can say this with absolute confidence. The Civic is practically 5 times cheaper to own in the long run. This isn't marketing hype. It's not brand loyalty. It's cold, hard math. The numbers don't lie. Toyota took more from me at every turn, while the Civic kept giving back. And that's the moment I realized I'd been buying the wrong car all along. So listen up, because this is a part Toyota fans will want to hear. If you've been brainwashed into thinking Toyota is the only reliable budget car, it's time to wake up and face reality. For years, Toyota has coasted on its reputation, convincing buyers that the Corolla is the gold standard of affordability and dependability. But the truth is, the market has moved on and the Corolla hasn't kept up. You're paying more and getting less, trapped in a cycle where the brand name is carrying the weight, not the actual value of the car. Meanwhile, the Honda Civic has been quietly rewriting the rules. It's not just another sedan. It's a smarter buy for anyone who wants more than mediocrity disguised as reliability. The Civic is faster, with engines that actually respond when you press the pedal. It's roomier, giving you and your passengers comfort without compromise. The design feels modern, the tech feels up-to-date, and the driving experience feels alive. This isn't just about getting from point A to B. It's about enjoying the ride without overpaying for it. And yes, let's circle back to the biggest bombshell of all. 5 times cheaper when you factor in the real costs. Not just the sticker price, but the maintenance, the fuel, the insurance, and the resale value. The Corolla bleeds your wallet slowly, nickel and diming you over the years. The Civic? It respects your money, stretching every dollar further than you'd expect. I ran the math. I saw the numbers. And once you see it too, you'll realize there's no going back. So here's my verdict. I'm done with Toyota. Completely. No more falling for the old story of the safe choice. The Civic is proof that smarter, faster, roomier, and cheaper can all exist in one package. And as for me, I've made my choice and I'm never looking back.